Right. Paradise when? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to start with John Wayne. So, is there anybody in here that doesn't know who John Wayne is? Maybe the kids. Okay, he was a movie star, big movie star. He either produced, directed, or starred in over 160 movies in his lifetime. Big star. He did a lot of westerns, and then he did a lot of war movies. That was kind of his genre. But anyway, big actor, had it all, had everything except peace. It turns out John Wayne had no peace in his life. Did you know he would write letters to God trying to absolve himself of his sins? He was not a Christian, and apparently nobody ever shared the gospel with him, but he tried his best. But he would write these letters to God trying to absolve himself of these sins that he had committed. And obviously it didn't work because he'd feel like he had to write yet another letter and another letter. It wasn't until he was on his deathbed that he found God. And he was baptized into the Catholic Church. That doesn't necessarily mean he didn't find God, but I'm praying that he did. But it was his deathbed before he had peace, which is sad. Because the truth is, nobody should have to go without peace. Nobody should. But how many people are like John Wayne, going through their whole life, putting on a happy face, and especially someone like John Wayne, who was rich, had everything he could ever want, except happiness. No peace, no happiness, no fulfillment. Obviously, what he did wasn't fulfilling to him. And he missed out on a lifetime of peace. He and a lot of other people who don't know Jesus. And we know that the Bible has something to say about that, which is why we're here today, because the Bible has many, many things to say about many, many things. But today we're going to talk about that one thing. Psalm 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. It all belongs to God." Now, Jesus said in Matthew 5, 8, and 9, maybe, or 7, right there in the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes, right at the beginning of chapter 5, Jesus said, and I squished two verses together here, "Blessed are the pure in heart and the meek, because they shall see God and inherit the earth." God said the earth is the Lord's, it's his. But we who are meek and pure in heart will inherit that earth, and we will see God. What a marvelous, wonderful promise that we have to look forward to as Christians. And of course, we want the whole world to have that same thing to look forward to that we do, that we are going to inherit, but not this earth. We're going to inherit the new heavens and the new earth, all like this, but all better, right? No more bugs that bite you, and mosquitoes and crime, and no more of that. No more everything falling apart. In God's new earth, there won't be this second law of thermodynamics where everything goes from order to chaos. None of that. That's all gone. New heavens and the new earth. What a marvelous, wonderful, fantastic promise that we have. We who are pure in heart and meek. Now, Paul also quotes Psalm 24, verse 1, but he puts his own little twist on it. He starts in 1 Corinthians 10, 23 through 26, so we know that in the New Testament, he's quoting an Old Testament verse. But in 1 Corinthians 10, he quotes this verse, but he starts out by saying, "I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience, for The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Now that's wonderful. Except that didn't Paul just kind of add some conditions? Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart and the meek, for they shall see God and inherit the earth." If I can keep my heart pure and remain humble, I will inherit the earth and I will see God. But Paul just added something. I also have to think about other people. Well, where did that come in? Because Jesus said, if I just keep myself pure and humble. But Paul said, no, we got to sacrifice stuff because of other people. Do you think he's right? It doesn't seem fair, does it? That if I can keep my heart pure and myself humble, and of course, the more I talk about it, it's one of those things about humility. It's like if you even talk about it, you're not being humble. It's just weird. But anyway, it does not seem fair that if I do everything I need to do, I still have to sacrifice for other people. Because Jesus didn't say that. Or did he? Because now we've extended what I have to do to other people who I have no control over. I have no control over what anybody in here does. The only thing I can control is my reaction to it, right? But if you decide you're going to shoot the place up, how am I supposed to know that? And I can't stop you, and I can't control what people out there do. It doesn't seem fair that I should have to sacrifice for other people when Jesus said, if I just keep myself pure, if I just do for me. Well, the truth is, Jesus really did say it. It's just that he didn't say it with words, right? He didn't say it with words, but guess what he did do? He lived it. And aren't we supposed to follow in his steps, as Peter tells us? Jesus didn't say everything in words, but he said everything with his life. And he lived sacrificial, didn't he? It says in Philippians 2:5, he did not consider equality with God a thing to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the form of a servant, a human. God did not consider equality a thing to be grasped, but made himself nothing. Yeah. He came down from heaven to become a human. How weird is that? How mind-blowing is that? And not only that, but he had to grow and learn one day at a time. Do we understand? Jesus had to be taught potty training. He had to learn to read. He had to learn to write. He literally became everything that we are. And he had to go through the processes that we go through one day at a time, just like we do. Scraped knees, stubbed toes. I guarantee you every human on earth has stubbed their toe at least once. Haven't we? Is there anybody in here who's never stubbed their toe? That's what I thought. I bet you Jesus stubbed his toe. Walking in sandals, stub your toe. But hurt feelings, probably from his own family, rejection, everything we get from other humans, Jesus got. So yes, he didn't say it with his words, but he said it with his life. He lived for other people. His heart was pure. He was humble. He already owned the earth. But he said he would give it to us if we would just follow in his steps, which includes sacrificing for other people. Yeah, darn. How did he manage it? Well, Jesus managed to do it because of the one thing we forget about, the joy set before him. Hebrews 12:1 tells us to fix our eyes on Jesus, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising its shame. Now, what is this joy? That because Jesus had it, and for that joy that was set before him, he walked that human walk for 33 years and went through this stubbing his toe and scraping his knees and being spat on and rejected and all that stuff. The joy that was set before him, it was us. Him knowing that he could see us restored, sanctified, holy, perfect, that if he would just do this thing, that he would see us like that. That was his joy, us. Can you believe that? That was his joy, us? But it was. That was the joy that was set before him. His knowledge of knowing what if he would just do this one thing, that some of us would come into the kingdom and be with him forever. That's how much he loves us. That for the joy set before him, seeing us holy, this is what he wanted. He wants to see people just streaming into the streets of gold, right? The city on a hill. He wants every human to come in, because every single human life is his joy. And he did it for other people, for us, who we don't deserve it. We know it. But he did it anyway. So yeah, he mentioned about being pure in heart, and he mentioned about being meek, but he lived sacrificing for other people. And he did it because he was filled with a joy that would not let go of him. And he walked to the cross picturing our faces because we are his joy. That's just mind-blowing to me. Sinful humanity restored is his joy. Guess what our joy is? We get him. He is our joy. This is the peace that John Wayne missed out on. You do not have to walk through this life. Well, you do have to walk through this life, let's be honest. Going to the doctor, as your date, doing all the things that we got to do. We got to walk through this life, but we don't have to walk through it with no peace like John Wayne did. We get to walk through it knowing that Jesus is right here all the time. He never leaves you. You could be stuck in the worst traffic ever, and he's right there. You could be in the line at the grocery store that's 30 carts long. Jesus is still right there. You might have to go to work to a job you hate, but Jesus is going with you, and he's going to be right there with you, working alongside you. He never, ever, ever, ever leaves. He is our joy, and we are his joy. And if we are his joy, then what makes us think that he would ever leave us? Unless we just throw him out, he's not going anywhere. And you would literally have to throw him out to get him to go. He's one of those guests that just doesn't know when to leave, because he's just not gonna. He's just gonna stay and stay and stay, even better than the ever-ready bunny. He wants to abide with us forever. And he wants us to go through this life with that joy of knowing, not only in the future. I love the song that David sang, what a glorious day it will be in the future. We don't have to wait for that, though. Yes, it'll be even better when we don't have the mosquitoes and the, all the crime and all the stuff that we have on this earth, and the sicknesses and the injuries and those things. But we don't have to be like, oh, this life is so terrible, I can't wait to get to heaven. If you're living like that, you're missing it. Because Jesus wants you to have all of him now. Yes, we all have to do things we don't want to do, but Jesus wants to do it with us. He wants us to become consciously aware of himself being there with us that, it's like, oh, I really don't want to go today, Lord. I really don't. And he's like, I'm right there. I'm going with you. I'm going with you. Doesn't matter where we go. Here I am. I'm holding your hand. I'm hugging you. We're going together. I never have to go anywhere without him. I never have to do anything without him. Goes with me to the doctor. He goes with me to the job. He goes with me to the grocery store. He goes with me to the gas station and anywhere else I have to go. He's always with me. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. This is in Matthew 11. And I will give you rest. You will find rest for your souls. Isn't that what the world is in desperate need of? Rest, peace, joy. I think I heard that only a third of the millennials and Gen Zers are actually dating because they have absolutely no idea how to interact with humans. They have no idea. They're just not even dating. They just sit at home with their phones. And the more you look at social media, the more depressed you get because it's, all these fake lives and people who appear to be doing better than us. It's a wasteland of broken dreams. But this is where they are. They so desperately need Jesus. They don't know how to interact with human beings. But they so desperately need Jesus. We have to find ways to reach them, even if we have to go online to do it. If we can't reach them because they're in their basements on their phone, then get on Facebook or get on Instagram or get on whatever you need to get on and start sharing the good news and share it as much as you can to get people who just desperately need some good news to see it. This is where our world is at. It's just so strange. But Jesus is only asking us to do what he also did. Yeah, he didn't say sacrifice your life for other people, but he lived it, didn't he? So and Paul says some more, and I think I'm going to come to it here. He promises us joy. I'm going to come back around to what I was just going to say. But I did ask this a couple of months ago in our Sunday school class. I asked, is glory a body, and how much does it weigh? And we talked about this for quite a while, and it turns out that in the Bible, glory is never mentioned apart from a body. God's glory isn't just like out there as a phantom floating around. Glory is always associated with a body of some sort. And our glory, is Jesus in us, right? The weight, immeasurable. How much does glory weigh? It can't be weighed. Glory cannot be weighed. And I mentioned John Wayne. Yeah, poor John missed out. It's so sad that he lived his whole life. When you see him on the screen, he looks so happy and fulfilled, and you see him on interviews, he's so happy and fulfilled. And to discover that in the back, behind all that was this sad face, writing letters to God, trying to absolve himself of his sins. Such a shame. And we have a whole world full of people doing that. But we don't have to wait for paradise in the future. We can have it now because that glory is Jesus in us. I know there's a scripture in here somewhere. I'm working my way to it. The thief was told that he would be with Christ in paradise in a while. Because the thief had not followed Jesus, he didn't get to go to paradise right now. He had to get through the cross, and then he would be with Jesus. But we don't have to wait. We can have paradise now because Jesus died on the cross and because he rose again and because he sent his Spirit. There's no reason why any of us should walk out of here with anything but hearts filled with joy. Yeah, we got things going on in our lives. People have died and we're lonesome and we have things going on and bills to pay and all those things. But none of that matters when you got Jesus. So we who abide with Christ should have paradise now, and we don't have to wait like John Wayne did. Now, as I'm coming to this part, it's difficult Sometimes it's hard to give up something because of someone else. And we know that Paul said, well, if my eating of a sacrificial meat would cause my brother to sin, then I just won't eat meat anymore. It doesn't seem fair because there's nothing wrong with eating the meat for Paul. Not that Paul, the other Paul, the Apostle Paul. But Paul said, if eating meat will hurt you, I will give it up. Now that kind of sacrifice, that's a hard one because we are keeping ourselves pure in heart and meek, right? But just because you can't handle that I might have a drink now and then, which I don't, by the way, just so you know. But I'm just saying, you have a drink now and then, or you smoke, or you go online and play poker, and these things that you do that you don't feel are a sin for you, or 100 other things, fill in the blank, the thing that you do that is not a sin for you, but you do it and somebody else sees you and they get confused and they get, they're like, well, I thought Christians didn't do that. And now they're conflicted. Is it worth holding on to that thing? It's not. It's just not worth holding on to that thing. Do we really love other people and care about them? If we really, really do love other people and care about them, we would give those things up in a lickety-split. Isn't that what they say? In a second. In a New York minute. We would give those things up because we care more about them than we do about ourselves, just like Jesus did. His joy was us, holy and perfect. Our joy should be other people, holy and perfect also. So what earthly thing is worth giving up Christ for? What earthly thing do you have that's so important to you that you would trade Jesus for it? That you would keep doing that thing that might not even be a sin? But is it worth keeping that thing if it means, if it means trading Jesus for it? What on earth could be so important that you would trade Jesus for it? I can't think of a thing that's more important than that. And being holy is not easy, let's be honest. Trying to stay pure in heart and meek and stay holy is hard work. You have to pay attention to things. You have to keep growing. You have to keep, monitoring yourself. Here's the verse I've been looking for. Colossians 1:26 through 27. Paul tells us, the Apostle Paul, the mystery that was hidden for ages and generations, but is now revealed to his saints. To them God has chosen to make known among the Gentiles, that's us, the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you. Is there anything on this earth that is worth more than that? I can't think of a thing. Money, fame, power, and then when you die, hell. Really? I mean, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years of money, fame, and glory and power for an eternity apart from Christ? Not even worth it. So is there anything in our lives that is worth holding on to that we would not sacrifice to see another person like John Wayne come to the truth? Our own fears, our own timidity, being scared to talk to people. We need to get over it, and we need to give up whatever it is we're holding on to, so that there is no more John Waynes in this world who are trying to absolve themselves of their sins. It's just, to me, there's nothing in this world worth holding on to. Okay, so I have a song. I would love if we would stand and sing this song if you know it. The altar is open if you need to come, but I'm asking as we sing this to just think about your life, and is there anything that you're doing that might lead another Christian astray, or might lead a person who's seeking the Lord astray? If not, that's wonderful. If you've given all that up already, well, you're join the pure in heart and the meek. But be thinking about that and think, is there anything that's worth holding on to, and another person goes to hell because of it? Go ahead, Paul.